Good morning, everyone, on another beautiful morning. It's Mellow Monday, so mellow out with your cup of coffee. As always, it's heavenly. And let's mellow out with Psalm 15. Yep, Psalm 15, which I like to call Let's Go to Church Psalm. Or This is How You Go to Church Psalm. Now, what do you mean by that? Well, let's just go by verse. It's a very short one, only 5 verses long. It's often classified as a community psalm, meaning it's one that everyone does together and says together, or it's spoken to everyone as, well, as a liturgical procession into the temple. So that's where it specifically is often called an entrance psalm. How do you walk into the temple? How do you walk into church on a Sunday morning? Hey, here's how you do it. O Lord, who may abide in your tent? Who may dwell in your holy hill? Oh, right off the bat, this is pretty heavy-duty stuff. You may look at that and say, oh, there's not much there. There's a lot there. That whole first part, who may abide in your tent, that's using words that reference foreigners. Who's allowed to step foot in your territory? This is your space, God. Are we allowed in here? We are foreigners. Are we allowed to come? Who may dwell in your holy hill? In other words, can we set down roots here? Are we allowed to settle here permanently? Yeah. See all that's going on? Those Hebrew words pack a punch. Then you come to verse 2. This is who can do it. Are you ready for this, everybody? Those who walk blamelessly and do what is right and speak the truth from their heart. Uh-oh. You know, that's pretty tough stuff. Who does that? I mean, we all fall short. Are any of us going to get in? Any of us going to get into church on Sunday morning? I don't know. Well, I think you need to know about Hebrew poetry, and the Psalms are Hebrew poetry. They do a lot of what's called parallelism, meaning you have one verse, and then you have another verse, and the second verse says exactly what the first verse does, only in totally different words and different images. So look at this. Those who walk blamelessly, excuse me, go to the next verse. What's the parallel part? Those who do not slander with their tongue. Wait a minute, walking, slander, well, here's where it gets interesting again. The word for slander has its root word, your foot. Where are you putting your foot? You know, how are you walking your talk? Are you slandering people? No, you're walking blamelessly. Oh, see how they parallel each other? Those who do what is right. What's the parallel part in the next verse? Do no evil to their friends. Look at that. Yeah. Do what is right. Do no evil. It's the same thing. And then the very last part of verse 2, speak the truth from their heart. Now, what's that? Do not take a reproach against their neighbor. In other words, you're not going to say nasty stuff about your friends, about your neighbors. You're going to speak well of them. So, all right. So how do we get into church on a Sunday morning? What's the requirements for getting there? Those who walk blamelessly, who do what is right, speak the truth from their heart. And I'll say that one more time. You do not slander with your tongue. You do no evil to your friends. And you don't take up a reproach against your neighbor. Well, how many of us are walking into church on Sunday morning? That checklist isn't looking too good, is it? Or maybe you did okay this week, but last week you really blew it. Now, let's just keep reading on, okay? Maybe there's a little bit of hope in here. I don't know. How about this verse 4 kind of summarizes it all up. In whose eyes the wicked are despised, but who honor those who fear the Lord. In other words, I'm not going to go running around and hanging out and getting involved with all the things that the ones who are doing bad stuff do. No, I'm going to live the life that God calls me to live. All right, now we're kind of getting there. You see, It's not a matter of you have to have this whole checklist perfect before you get to come into church. We're not going to have somebody sitting in the back as you're walking in the door and say, kind of remember the COVID days a little bit. We kind of did a little checklist with each other and said, do you have your mask? Make sure you sit 6 feet apart. No singing, just hum the hymns. That sort of thing. No, we're not doing that when you come to church. That's not what this psalm is. This is a psalm that says, this is how we want you to be. And you know what? We know you're coming here and you're not there yet. But just imagine, this is the picture of life where God wants you to be. He wants you to be one who walks blamelessly and does what is right and and you speak the truth from your heart and all those types of things, okay? But it's a couple little specific things here right at the very end, which basically I think was important to the Psalter to say these things because maybe it was a problem in the people's day. Okay, who stand by their oath even to their hurt. In other words, testify to the truth, even if the truth hurts, even if it's hurting you. You don't lie about others just so you come off looking good. All right, that's one thing. You don't lend money at interest, and you don't take a bribe against the innocent. In other words, you don't take advantage of those who are really down and out and hurting. If they need a few bucks to get by this week, give them 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, $100. Give it to them. And don't say, okay, pay me back next week at 10% interest or 20% interest. No, you don't do that. Help them out. And if they pay you back, fine. If they don't pay you back, you know what? You did a good thing. You helped out your brother or sister in need. All right. Those who do these things shall never be moved. In other words, you're going to be here dwelling in God's space. And where is God's space? You know, it's not just the temple. It's not just walking into church. Oh, God's here. This is his spot. No. This is God's space. This wonderful world that he has created for you and for me. This wonderful world in which we live for one another as brothers and sisters forever. Mellow Monday. Mellow out with Psalm 15. Read it a couple times. It's only 5 verses long. It'll get your day going. It'll get your life re-energized. God's blessings be with you.